I've been watching you. At night, I think of you.
Hi, no. Hi, HJ Ballas here with your here, ready to do the question and answer that I posted in my reader group a week or so ago. So I'm gonna go ahead and fire up my MacBook. Sorry about the crazy glare of my glasses. I have not read these questions yet, so let's see how it goes. And you'll have to ignore my hair. Every day I've been thinking, okay, I gotta do this video, I gotta do this video. Okay, I'll do my hair, my makeup today. It's never happened. So I figured a headband and a messy bun would have to do. So for the, I'll try to keep my MacBook down so you guys don't get a funky glare. The first question is, what age did your fascinations with boots begin? Ooh, good question. Actually, when I was a little girl, my grandma and grandpa raised me, and I was really close with two of my uncles who were cowboys into the rodeo scene. And my one uncle, Bob, is probably a bigger boot whore than I am. He's really, really into the boots. So that's where that came from. Next question is, how do you do it all? You write for yourself as Charlie Lee and run around doing so many activities with the kids. How do you come up with all these amazing characters and keep them straight when writing? So the best answer to that question is I don't cook or clean. Okay, I probably cook, but don't clean as much as I should. And I don't sleep very often. Charlie Lee is super easy. My co-author, Kathy Koopmans, and I swear we get an idea in our head and it's just gone. It's ridiculous. Some days we'll go through a thing where, okay, we're gonna write, Heidi, you write 3,000 words a day, Kathy writes 3,000 words a day, and sometimes it's like, gosh, I have to stop. I don't want to stop, especially with our new book, Brick, coming up. And honestly, I've never written two books at the same time until I teamed up with Kathy. So, but I found it really easy to write two books at a time because I'm so absorbed into the storyline that it's easy to keep those characters separate. But I do have lots of notebooks, lots of notes, lots of, what the hell did I just do? Moments. So that's pretty much how I do that. Good question. That's probably one of the most popular questions as an author is, where do you come up with these stories, or how do you get an idea? Honestly, the answer is everywhere, I swear. I've been hit with a storyline in the grocery store, by seeing something, people in my life, some things they're going through, it's developed off of that. Pretty much anything hits me. It's really hard to say exactly where it comes from, but everywhere. It's all around me. And I do try, and I know it's really hard, I do try to stick to kind of different storylines or not the typical plot. But again, there's only so many things you can do. So the question, where I get my ideas from my storyline, anywhere, everywhere. Be careful what you post on Facebook. No, I'm kidding. The next question, how long did it take you to write your first book? Man, it wasn't that long ago, but that's really hard to remember. I know that the prologue came out pretty easy, and then after that, it was pretty quick. I'm gonna say maybe 3 months. The ideas were just flowing, and it was the first time I did something like that. So it was just so fun to create another world, and obviously hasn't stopped since then. Okay, next question. 2 questions. What is the biggest hurdle you've had to overcome since you released your first book? Does staying sane count? The biggest hurdle would probably be juggling everything. Am I doing this right? What could I do more or not? That's huge for me because I am not a type A personality, get this done here, schedule that. So making sure I just have everything together, and I'm still struggling with that. The volume of quality work that you share with the world is insane. Who or what drives you? I love writing. That's what drives me, number one. Love, love writing, love creating the stories. And it's so weird because I buy a ton of pictures, the cover pictures. And so I'll see the cover picture, you know, I'll buy it, file it. Then it'll be like 6 months later, I think of that picture and a story hits and I'm obsessed with it, just obsessed. And so that's what drives me. Basically, it's the storyline, the characters screaming to get out of my head. I know you hear that a lot and it's kind of cliche, but it's actually really true. Okay, next question. I feel so silly doing this. My daughter has a YouTube channel and she rocks it. Like she rocks it. Like the stuff she says and her animation, she's all into it. So you need to go check out her YouTube channel. It's Octavia Hoopster, Hoopstr. She's 13 years old. And so if you have daughters that age, she's done a makeup tutorial and a couple other things. Okay, let's turn. The next one. If you could make any of your books into a movie, which would you choose and why? That's really hard. First off, I would say Royal Atlas. I would love to see Royal Atlas on the big screen. I just love to see those characters brought to life. I think it would be amazing. But with that said, I just finished Lovesick, and it's at a proofreader. And I think Lovesick would make an amazing chick flick, rom-com. Oh, just hilarious. So now it's kind of a tie between Royal Atlas and Royal Atlas and Lovesick. So let me know after you guys read Lovesick and see what you think. All right, from Danielle. Here we go. So I have been thinking about the wording of my question, but I figured you would appreciate me just being blunt. I don't know if I should be scared yet. So here goes. When writing some of the hotter scenes in your books, are you writing from experience or research? Can't wait to hear your answer. XO. Good question. So I have a personal theory on romance authors, and it's just mine, so I'm not saying this is true, or maybe it's just my deal. I say that anything's in a book, it's either the author's done it or it's on their to-do list or their bucket list. So, have I done everything in my books? Oh, obviously not. I would be one happy girl. Just kidding. So I think I haven't never researched any of the stuff. You got me here, Danielle. Yeah, so I'll say for my personal stance is either stuff I've done or want to experience, or I'm just simply curious about. Danielle, you win the award so far for making me blush. Okay, next question. Okay, next question. Here we go. What prompted you to start writing and then actually hit publish? So it's kind of a weird, I don't know if anyone will really get this, but I scrapbooked for years and years and years. I don't have very many pictures of me growing up or memories, from when I was younger. And so when I had kids, that was my one thing I wanted to scrapbook. They're gonna have all this, they could see all this cool stuff. And so Libby and Gus both actually have scrapbooks for every year they've been born up until I started writing. But they're still pictures. So I really have always been into like scrapbooking, storytelling. Like I said, my grandma's raised me, and so I would, they tell me stories, I'd write them down. So I've always been into like journaling and writing and expressing yourself. So basically I sat down and wrote the prologue to Cree to let go of some childhood pain, like I've said before. And after the part that was nonfiction, the rest just flowed like crazy. And I believe I have 3 books out by then. So the original titles, if you didn't know, let's see if I can remember this. My Now and Forever is Cree. So its original title was My Now and Forever. Trip. Oh my gosh, I hope I'm not gonna remember this. Trip was My Today. Okay, so I had 2 out before I went to a publisher. So Cree, which was My Now and Forever, Trip, My Today, and then I had Miles, the whole manuscript finished, before I submitted to a small publisher. So that's what prompted that. And the reason I submitted to the small publisher is because I needed the help. I needed cover help, I needed all kinds of help, and I learned a ton from them. So Man, that question hurt my brain thinking back that far. So, yeah. Oh, someone was playing. The next one is, what writers inspired you to start reading your own stories? I taught school for 13 years before I took the, no, it was probably actually 10, 11. Because I would write during the day and then, or write during the night and teach during the day. So I've always had a huge love for literature. So I can't really say one author. I mean, the Harry Potter series, consumed. You know, Dr. Seuss, man, that guy has my heart. Danielle Still. There were several summers I would just go to our local youth ranch, a secondhand store, and just gobble up Danielle Still books. Obviously, E.L. James. Kristen Proby was one I was just devouring in the beginning, you know, before I started writing. So I think just amazing, kick-ass authors in general. And still, I read, well, it's Audible. I listen to an Audible book maybe one every 2 or 3 days. So I'm still just devouring books, because that is my first love, is reading, getting lost, finding that next book boyfriend. See, I got a little groove thing going. Okay, the next question is, how do you balance family and writing? I kind of touched on that earlier. It is the trickiest thing, I think, from working from home and managing my own business. I remember when I used to teach, I was thinking, gosh, I wish I could just work from home or do this or that. Well, it's a lot harder than it looks. So I guess the answer to this question again is a lot of sleepless nights if I don't get done what I need to get done. And we have stuff to do with the family or the 4-H or something like that. I do it with the kids, and I manage to get it done somehow. So there's no trick for the balancing act. Actually, if I'm being honest, I'm probably failing at it miserably. So if any of you have any ideas or suggestions for me, I would definitely take them. We have a smart ass in the house. Just kidding. I love this next question. Is a boar a pig? Oh my goodness, it is a pig with working nuts. Imagine that. Who would have thought that would be like my famous quote of my whole life? But what's funny about that show is, before, I was probably on the stage probably an hour with all the panel and the questions, because all 3 of us got asked all the questions. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, it was on the game show To Tell the Truth. Well, I had mentioned a boar in one of my answers, and Anthony Anderson, the host, just, man, it was just like that. He's like, wait a minute. I thought you raised pigs, not boars. And I still don't know if he was taunting me, or not taunting, like teasing me, like he knew what it was, but he was just trying to get me to say the word, or if he was really didn't know what a boar was. So that whole banter between him and I went back and forth like 5 minutes before I finally said, a boar is a pig with working nuts. And of course, they would highlight that one thing I said. Leave it to Hot Mess Heidi. Okay, the next 2 Q&A questions, the last 2, is what inspired you to start writing, and what advice would you give other authors, from Janelle. I would say, advice for other authors, I'm going to start with that first, is just write. There's so many things that can clog your brain up in this industry. I mean, you can start going from covers, editors, PR, reviews, blah, 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 blah. Like, there's so much in it that my suggestion is to just write. And that's one thing that I do when I get really overwhelmed. Like, oh my goodness, I need to make countdown teasers. I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to be more active on social media. Like, it kind of just all clusters and gets stressy. And so I'll just step back and write. And then before you know it, you have a book. So I really just encourage everyone that has that dream or desire, even if it never gets published, even if you don't share it with anyone, just write. It's very therapeutic. And that's one thing I did, you know, a majority of my life, is I would write, because my grandma, she would journal. My great-grandma, she journaled every single day in beautiful cursive handwriting. She would have the date on it. I mean, she had notebooks and notebooks when she passed away. And so that's just something that's always I've loved and treasured. So I really just suggest sitting down and writing. And I forgot last question. Get the glare on my eyes again. What inspired you to write books? Kind of just answer that question, I think. Part of it, I just love to write. But I never, ever, ever would have guessed after book 1, I would be sitting here 30 on books later. I never in my wildest dreams would have guessed that I would not be teaching. I figured I'd be teaching until the rule of 90, retire as a school teacher. You could have told me back then, Heidi, this is what's going to happen. I would have said, bullshit, you're a liar. Like, yeah, I don't know what drugs you're on, but you're a little whacked. But it happened, and it's, I guess, never underestimate yourself, which is really easy to do in any part of life. So if you have a dream, just go for it. And the thing about dreams is, dreams or goals or achieving something, they rarely turn out the way you expect them to, because you're probably going to surprise yourself and go a lot further than you ever imagined. Oh, man. That background, sorry. My office is too messy to do the Q&A, so you get to see, like, so you get to see the sage hen butt right there, and the ducks and the geese, and this really awesome pole. Hey, it's my first YouTube video Q&A, baby. So my goal, talking about balancing everything, is to have weekly videos up here. Well, let's be realistic. Let's start out with monthly. And my next one I want to do is a Google Hangout with a couple other authors. And I'll have the link live on the channel. And so the readers, you guys can come on in, and it'll just be a Google Hangout. And you can ask some other authors questions or whatever you'd like to do. So thank you for subscribing. I should probably do the cute little finger trick like all the teeny boppers do. Thank you for subscribe, or hit subscribe, and thank you for subscribing, or hit subscribe and thank you for subscribing if it's down there. And Lovesick releases July 24th. Like I said, it's off to the proofreader. Arcs are going out soon. Memphis Love is amazing. He's a smart ass. There's so many cheesy pickup lines in there. Lots and lots of hot sex scenes. And it's just a really good book. So I am starting a new project, actually. I've already started outlining it, so stay tuned for details. Bye-bye for now from Crazy Land of HJ Bellis.